right, here we go. Today's topic, it's a webinar with George Winterling, and it's on how to work with affluent clients. And this should be a good one to capture some good insights from all of George's background and experience, 45 plus years. So let me go ahead and share this screen in case you need some notes to run with, George.
That would be good.
And this is off of your slide that you sent me.
Okay. Let's see here.
Hold on, here it comes. There it is. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Let's
that's just the title. Here we go. This is just basically, I kind of consolidated your notes into like 4 pages, George.
Okay.
So then you can kind of run with what you want.
That'll help me because I was looking at it on another screen. That's good. I guess my point was the most important thing you can do is to try to look at things from the client's point of view. You have to kind of put yourself in their place and figure out where they're coming from and why they called you and what they really want. If you can do that, and it's a hard thing to do, that's probably the best advice I can give anybody, and that's on any client, whether they're wealthy or whether they're billionaires or just normal millionaires that we deal with. You have to try to understand where they're coming, where they're coming from. And with the internet, we were talking, I guess what you guys are talking about, we deal with some extremely wealthy people. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, we had the beginning billionaires. And, they're building these acre estates under air, and they're a different group of people. They can buy it, and they can buy anything. And times were different. Most of them were very nice people, but they got that way by doing business. And today's billionaire, boy, that's a different thing. That's something that I really haven't dealt with all that much. When I do something for a client, I try to work with them. I work as their partner. It's very hard to do that with these extremely wealthy people today. They have so many people insulating them from you. And I walk away from that. What I do is a very personal thing for them. I'm learning about them, their families, how they live in the house, how they entertain, and I have to deal with them. And when I can't, my rule is walk. I just did that with, how do I say this? I don't want to say names, but they're a big investment company. It's a man and woman. And I actually did the research with people that knew them. They were relatively new to Palm Beach. They'd been there, but they just bought a new house. To give you an idea, they were tearing down parts of the house that no one would do. Just wasn't exactly what they wanted. I had a telephone conversation with her, and she was asking if I, would be comfortable working with her design team. I said, yes, of course. But I would like to take a look at the property and walk it and so forth. And when I researched her, and both of them actually, and talked to friends, and they said, please stay away. They're not, it's not going to end well. And I had to figure a way to have her not call me back. And I just called her by her first name, treated her like I would treat anybody. That upset her, and I never heard back. That's how these people work. And
Hey, George,
sir,
I got something happened to me last night that maybe you can add to. But I want to make a comment and then see if I'm understanding what you're saying. So, my comment is, I've heard in the past that there's like 12 wealthy areas in the United States. You know, you and Scott are near them. Mark is near them. Mike and I are not. Mike's in Kansas City. I'm in Owensboro. We're not near the wealthiest parts of the country. That's my comment, and I'm open to anyone's opinion on that. Secondly, if I'm hearing you right, I was curious when I got on this call and knew about this, what I was curious to find out is how you deal with that affluent client. And I think what I'm hearing is, well, first and foremost, you don't deal with every affluent client, any affluent client. You are going to stay in control. So there are certain affluent clients that may have multiple gatekeepers, and you're going to just walk away.
absolutely.
And that's fine. I just want to make sure I understood that. That's great. I feel the same way. And I'll lastly say, last night, we're in our 26th year of business. We do reveals for every single job, which I think all of you know what that is. Show up after dark, focus, walk around with the client, have to move the bus moment, sometime in multiple times in different areas. It's all fun. It's a party. It's very joyful. And oftentimes I am telling them I need to go home. You know, it's late. Well, one time in my career, and I won't talk about that one, but last night I met with a client who, for Kentucky, is probably pretty affluent. And the last time I had a client like this was in 2002, so I forgot how to act around them. We turned the lights on. Well, first of all, I was focusing everything for about an hour, and I had my boss with me, so he was inside with them, keeping them company. But she's head prosecutor for a county, and he's, just family business, and they get up early. And they, right off the bat, he said he wanted the abridged version. Well, that went right over my head, because once I started focusing, we're passionate about what we do. And I was focused on doing that, trying to move the men along. So I was sensitive to their time. But then when I invited them out for the move the bus moment, the passion took over, and I'm talking to them, explaining, whereas my boss was sitting there. When we got in the car, he said, "Chris, you probably should have turned them on and just said, 'Are we good? Do you have any questions?' and ended it if that's what they wanted. Give them that choice, right?" So I got an education last night with these affluent people. Sometimes they don't need for you to walk around the property, and they don't care. Okay, looks good. You're just, he even said at the end of the meeting, George, I can't remember verbatim what he said, but the nutshell was, "Chris, I want to be nice about this. I can't." He said something like that, but I'd said I wanted the bridge version. We got to get up at 5. So maybe when you do these in the future, be attentive to that. But it's just not my nature. And I realized affluent clients, they don't always need that full blown reveal, because they just, they spend 10 grand like I spend a dime. It's just, for them to write a $40,000 check for some lighting in their backyard, it's just another thing.
Chris, you have wealthy clients just like everybody else, just not as many of them. And my God, there's some very wealthy people all over the country. But it's the point I was going to get to is just what you made. And it's the first thing that I try to say in this whole deal. You have to understand the client from their point of view, really, whether they're billionaires or whether they have a trailer park. And especially if they are wealthy because they're used to giving orders and their time is so valuable. But any of us, if you can put yourself in the client's place and see things the way they see them, you're miles ahead. And with the wealthier clients, you can do that over the internet a lot. You can generally, you know somebody, all of my work, 99% of my work is referral. Okay. I don't advertise. I never was successful with it. And I've been small for the past 30 years. And I know who these clients are, and I'll find out about them. Do they pay their bills? How do they pay? Well, I can give you stories. And people have stayed away from it, but learning about them. And then you have to find out what they like. What do they put their value in? And you can find that out about their friends and neighbors. You know, how do they live? How do they party? What are they like? And, you know, if you know that going into, you know, say you're doing I don't know, a $20,000 job, $30,000 job. Suppose you know what the guy's business is. Suppose you see that, oh, I heard you did this and that, without getting too personal. You're not trying to be their friend, but you're trying to be friendly. You're trying to let them know that you took the time to know something about them and that you care how they live. And maybe they'll open up to you and tell you about it. That's where I'm going with it.
Hey, George, I got a question for you with regards to expectations. How do you determine what their expectations are on the front end, like when you first meet with them? Or do you have a process for that?
Well, I've looked them up on the internet. I've already gone to Google Earth and looked at their house. I probably know who their neighbors are, whether I've met them or not. I know what kind of, you know, what kind of cars they drive. Do they have kids? You know, I'm asking a lot about them. I want to know about them. I don't want to walk in cold. Have I done it? Sure, we all have. But if there's something we can find out about them, and there's another reason for this. Wealthy people, business owners, well, we're all about generating leads. You know, I did a lot of work. People would call me in to do their house, and I'd find out, oh, what does your husband do? Because usually I'm talking to the lady of the house. I'd say, your husband's in real estate or this and that. You know, what we might be able to do is do some lighting for your office and light the building. And, you know, by lighting the building, we might be able to do a better deal for your home, implying that it would be a tax advantage to do the building. Might be a little more overexpensive. Put the design fee in the office and not do a design fee, or just working something out in the house. And you generate 2 jobs out of 1. I was very successful at doing that. And getting double work. Is it, you know, how they do their accounting? I don't care. But, you know, if the company hires me, well, I might do a little bit at the house. As long as I got paid for the house too, I didn't care. I didn't care what. We'd work it out. Of course, again, that was 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. But you can do that. And if they do have a business, it's a great way to go after it. You're learning about it. And that might be something you already know. Do they pay their bills? What's the reputation? Do you know the electrician that deals in their house? Do you know the plumber? Do you know the handyman, the contractor, the carpenter? Are they paying their bills? What can you find out about them?
Good.
I've only been not paid that I can remember 4 times. 2 of them I got suckered in by people, and I don't mean it in any derogatory way, but they were devout Christians. And they were telling me how good they were, and I bought into it, and I got burned. Another one, she's gone now. Her husband's rather famous for the moment. Owns a big house in Palm Beach. She was terrible, absolutely terrible. I decided to go to work for her. Swore like a sailor. She had a mouth on her at 10 o'clock in the morning that was unbelievable. And this was after they were divorced.
Wow.
You know, it's anyway, the stories, but basically, when people like what you do, they're going to want to pay you, and they're going to refer you to people. The nicest thing about wealthy clients is they'll lie about how much they spent. That's the greatest thing in the world. Oh my God, I heard some of the fees that I was getting was like, this was neat. This was really fun, because they bragged. They did my work for me. These clients, any client, is a wealth of leads. They love what you do, and you just basically ask them, or they'll have a party or do something. They'll tell you. They'll tell you who their landscape architect is, who their decorator is, who their contractor is. Gosh, each one of these people are just a wealth of information.
I have another question for you, George.
Do it.
Sorry, I'm not trying to.
No.
Based on if you have these affluent clients that, you know, you were mentioning they surround themselves with people, so they have a lot of managers or people, you know, doing things for them. Let's say they're somebody that's the owner's rep for the project, so you don't get to actually work directly with the client, but they have a representative that will make decisions for them. Is there anything you can talk about there, suggestions of how to handle those?
I work with them. I work with them as coordinators. Okay. You know, are we getting the equipment to the site? Are we coordinating with the electricians? Are we coordinating with the general contractors? We facilitate together, but to any design, I'm working with a client, and if I can't do that, they need to hire someone else, because quite frankly, I'm going to tell them I'm going to charge you a lot of money for doing something that they're not getting. And if they can't see the difference in what I do, you've hired the wrong person. Do I need a lot of their time? No. But generally, the lady of the house is the one you're going to be dealing with. I'll give you, for instance, the guy that owns the Redskins. I dealt mostly with his wife. And I didn't deal with her that much, but I made darn sure that I did everything she wanted. God, they had me inside the house. I was doing all kinds of things for her. I was doing her bedroom area. I was doing her sitting room. She had the most beautiful playroom that you've ever seen, adjoining the master suite. And she would bring me in to do that. And I would do it and then get back to work. But I always worked through her people. And we had a good relationship. But when you don't have that, and I'll tell you who the guy was. It was Dan Snyder. Everybody, he was had a reputation people didn't like. He was a great guy because I understood what he wanted. He was to the point. He wanted this, 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 and this, and that's what I did. I only spent maybe an hour with him at the house at night, going over the final thing. In the cold, it was freezing. Riding around in his golf cart. But you give him what he wants, and you give the family what you want. And they kept in touch for years. They just sold the house. If you can't work with the owner, if I can't, I walk. I can't tell you what to do. If you're just working with the owner's rep, you're another contractor. And that's how I feel about it. I'm doing something special for them. And that's what sets me apart. The decorators don't work through, they'll work through the reps, sure. The architect works through the reps, but they work directly for the owner. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. Thank you.
If you don't, you're at their mercy and you're just another contractor, and you don't want to be that. I'm just going to read from my notes here. I was going to say, before your initial meeting, just going to read this. Read up on the client on the internet. Obtain a site plan. My God, get a site plan. You can get one from building. I generally ask the client because I want to get the client involved in what I'm doing. Do you have a site plan I could bother? You must have some plans for the house. Could I stop by and pick one up? Well, stop by and pick up a plan. I get to look at things a little bit and I go back. I'll scan the plan or I'll copy the plan so I'll have something to work on and I'll have a scale. But it's something I ask for. Know your community lighting codes, especially now more than ever. Be knowledgeable. And tell the client what, when you finally have your initial meeting, if there's something they need to know, there it is. Drive by the property and look at it on Google Earth. Be familiar. Check crime statistics, especially now. Crime is crazy. These people are security conscious, like everybody is. We all are. I mean, with their undocumented guests, it's getting worse. If I said that right.
You did.
Look for street lighting problems. One of the worst things to kill our business are street lights. It's good and bad. The street lighting could be a terrible color. It could be high pressure sodium. Maybe it's LED now, metal halide, but what color is it and how does it affect what you're going to do to the house? Does it over brighten the house? Is it even pointless to do something in a certain area because of the street lighting? That's a big deal. Next one, beyond transactions. They may seek more than just products or services. They value your expertise, exclusivity, personalized solutions that align with their financial and lifestyle goals. Time is precious. Efficiency and discretion are just number one. They expect streamlined processes, minimal hassle, and respect for their privacy. If you can do this even with the normal clients, you'll see a reaction that they just won't believe because they're not used to being dealt with like that. You know a little about them, you care about them, you expect their time. You have a time thing that you want to go through. You have to move to the next client. I'm sorry, I've got to move on. I generally have an assistant with me who can say, George, you've got a meeting in about 30 minutes. We really do have to go. And I'll say, yeah, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, are we about done with this? Because if not, I can come back and work on it. In a major presentation, no, I wouldn't do that. But if I was working on a design with them, I would, because the clients want to talk too. Many wealthy clients have a strong interest in leaving a lasting legacy. Yeah. Supporting all kinds of causes. Man, if you know that your client is a big supporter of the zoo. Well, hello, zoo. You must need some lighting. Can I help you with that, Mr. and Mrs. Client? It's amazing. It's amazing what you can do. You can even offer to, if they have a charity, you can offer a design fee to be bid on, because usually they have silent auctions. And you can have them bid on one of your lighting designs. It didn't cost you a thing. And you'll get a job from it. All kinds of things. Find out what their needs are. Building a strong reputation, cultivating relationships within their circles. Wow, architects and designers. I'm saying selling strategies. Become a trusted advisor.
This is the next. There you go.
Demonstrate a deep knowledge for your field and specific challenges wealthy clients face. Security. Extra security light for children's play areas, pets areas. Do they walk the dog at night? Do you have enough light from where the area you walk the dog? Are the kids playing? Do you do sports out in the yard? Can I do a sports field for you? You know, what can you do? How do you live in the house? And they're telling you all these things. Security, again, I can't go back to. That is number one. It should be number one, because it's what we have something to really sell. Yeah, I have a security system. Yeah, but even a pro can sneak up on a security system. A professional cannot sneak up if the perimeter of that yard is lit. They will be seen. It's just that simple. You know, I'm saying that, you know, I'm writing a paper here for you, but I mean, I mean this. Anticipate their needs and offer solutions before they even ask. Confidentiality, my gosh, maintain strict discretion and protect their sensitive information. Depending on the client, you may be even investigated. You might even need a security clearance. Value added, go beyond the sale by offering insights, resources, or connections that enhance their overall well-being. Yeah, you know, they may ask you for a lead on an architect. Well, who are you dealing with? What architect might work with this? Well, you know, Mr. Client, this is a contemporary thing. I work with a guy that is really good with contemporary projects. You may want to talk to. I've got a guy that fixes interior lamps, especially the old antique stuff. I've got a guy that specializes in that. You want faux finishes. Here's some people you might look at and make sure they're good. That'll come back to you. The next slide would be tailor your approach. Customize your pitch to address their individual goals, values, and concerns. Meet with the client personally and not their designer or representative. Exclusivity. Offer limited edition products or unique experiences that they can have. This is what we do. Our designs are unique. They're tailored to the individual. Spend the time coming up with something that they can't get anywhere else. Anybody can light up a damn tree. Anybody can put a light under. What are you doing that's different? Sure, you're using excellent equipment. Don't make it about the equipment. Say, look, this is nice, it's guaranteed, but we hide the equipment. We don't want you to see it. We want you to see the effect, and that's what we're doing. Highlight how your offering aligns with their interests and goals. It's touchy, but you know, you may find out, again, we talked about that. Do they have a, you know, are they building a golf course? Are they doing something? Or the board of a zoo? Yeah, that happened with me. sometimes you can light their home and office. Well, wealthy clients, networking. I'm a sporting clay shooter. I shoot clays because I'm a lousy golfer. And besides, I'm not good enough to belong to their golf clubs. It's too expensive. It's their social club. I can't afford it. If I could, I would. You may find out if they belong to the Republican club. Young Democrats, young Republicans, whatever they belong to, you may go to lunch there. Tell you what, I belong to the Sons of the American Revolution. I belong to the Masons. I've met clients at both. And it's if you can get into that, they get to know you and they get to trust you, and you will get referrals. Well, and the other thing too, you've got to be a professional, and you can't show up. You can show up, you don't need to be in a Cadillac or a Mercedes, but your car's got to be clean. It shouldn't be a pickup truck. You should present as a professional, especially to wealthy people. You don't want to oversell it. It depends on the level you're at. At one point, I was doing a lot of work with clothing designers. I got passed around pretty well. And I went from a Cadillac to a Mercedes. The Mercedes hurt me with the smaller clients, scared a lot of them off. I would have gotten a lot more smaller jobs had I not gone to that. It was only a 300E. The larger clients, not a problem. You're a professional. Because most of the professionals and the big architects, the big interior designers and all were driving expensive cars. Some even Rolls's. So it worked and it didn't work. You've got to find your niche. Make sure with wealthy clients, my God, understand where they're coming from and give them what they want. Well, if they call you, respond. They want instant, they have no patience for the most part. They want instant response. Stay in touch with them. Don't annoy them. Send them a text every once in a while. Send them an email once in a while. Just thinking about you, whatever. And if they do something for you, make sure you send them something and thank them. Let's see what else I've got here. Additional tips. Understand their motivations, what drives them, and what their fears are and aspirations. Where are they going? What are they afraid of? What are they doing? It goes right back to learning about them. And listen. Pay real close attention to what they're saying. Listen. And do what they want. Do what they tell you. Speak their language. Don't use the jargon. Be clear, concise. Don't oversell. They have to learn to trust you. And they'll do that really from seeing how you respond to them and how you responded to their friends. I guess the last of it's partner with experts, collaborate with other professionals, architects, landscape architects, designers, contractors, construction superintendents. They are referral sources. And again, the last thing I put in this again, the most important thing to remember about dealing with high net worth clients is to try to see things from their point of view. I can't stress that enough. And with that, that's all really, other than telling you stories about the ways I've dealt with people, which are funny as hell in a lot of cases. I think I'd like to hear from you guys and what you've done and what worked with you.
Let me go back to this screen. There we go. Yeah, anybody have any questions or thoughts or experiences that you've gone through that maybe George can talk about here?
Laugh with you, Will.
I just shared mine earlier, so I'm willing to hear somebody else's.
How about you, Joe? Do you have anything with, I know you, being that you've been on the theatrical side of things, concerts, I mean, I'm sure, have you ever had to deal with any of the higher ranking concert goers?
Well,
Yeah.
here's a funny story I like to tell, because if anybody's ever watched the Andy Griffith Show, it revolves around Raleigh, right? Raleigh,
Right.
North Carolina, supposedly. So we're playing Raleigh, North Carolina, Alan Jackson's first headlining tour in 1994. And Alan sneaks up beside me and he goes, hey, Joe, I know you're gonna go home and see your mama today. He said, but we're gonna go out and ride the Harleys around town. Is there anything related to the Andy Griffith Show in Raleigh? You know, I'm a huge fan. I said, well, unfortunately, Alan, unless you want to ride about an hour away up to Mount Airy, there's nothing really, unless you want to pretend, go to the YMCA and pretend that's where Barney gets his room. So I ended up telling him where the Harley shop was so they could ride over there and just hang out for the afternoon. But it's working with Alan, and we got to see Tim McGraw go from being an opening act to a middle band to selling out arenas himself over a 2-year period. And yeah, most of those guys are just so darn down to earth, humble in the country music business. Even Timothy Schmidt from the Eagles was playing bass with Dan Fogelberg, and
oh wow,
him and his wife were like 1960s hippies. They were so kind. She got lost at the Greek Theater in L.A. trying to find catering to find Timothy, and I walked her in there, and they were just so appreciative. That most of that music community, my gosh, they're just, man, what a bunch of nice people to work around. They love what you do. And Paul O'Neill, the guy who, God bless him, he's not on this earth anymore, with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, tried to outdo himself every year. I remember going out of rehearsals the first year, and he's like, hey, you guys think we can send a truck ahead to Cleveland with another 120 lights? No, we're playing theaters. There's no room.
Wow.
Like a kid in a candy store, man. But most of those people just appreciate what they do. And, it's so nice. I think from my minimal time in 1988 selling cars, a guy taught me a valuable lesson. Find a common ground with the person you're talking to, whether it's something their kid enjoys, something they enjoy, whatever. My client, who I just closed a pretty good deal with tonight, George, is headed your way to their summer home down in Fort Lauderdale. And they're kind of bi-coastal. They spend part of the year up in North Carolina. So I picked up a deposit to install a job the 1st of August for them. But it's amazing. Some of these people, when you hit that common ground, it can be anything. Whether it's they just, like you said, they despise golf, even though so many people, that's their pastime. Or he was talking about the other day about how expensive it was to be a boat owner.
Yeah.
And for the 5 times a year you use the boat. And he said, I ended up selling the damn thing. He goes, now I can go down there, and if we go out with friends and family, rent a yacht. Just one little piece of common ground, I think sometimes can take you over the top.
Well, did you ever sell them anything?
Huh?
Did you ever sell them anything, or did you ever watch anybody sell them anything?
Oh yeah.
How'd it work?
Great. I mean, we had the guy who was the top sales guy at the Toyota store back then. Who he was just a good old Cajun boy,
Yeah.
but he had the knack. He had the knack. I mean, you know, there's people who are like that.
Why? What did he do to them? I'm just curious.
He
How
just
did he
got
do
him
it?
in his office and found that common thing, that common denominator.
There you are.
And you know, these clients tonight, I went over and met with them. I found out that she used to own a computer company back in the day that she sold for, God bless her, $50 million. And
Well,
but as we're talking and, you know, finding out she grew up around here, and we started talking about music, and she's like, "Oh gosh, Nantucket, I know those guys. I went to the singer's wedding when he married his wife." And I said, "Which number?" You know, because I did lights for those guys for a long time. And she's like, "Oh yeah, Rebecca." And I said, "Yeah, I think he's on number 6 now." But you know, it's amazing the little tiny common things you can find with people if you're talking while you're doing other things.
and
And
they'll help you. That's the neat thing about it. And they all
I
have so many interests. My God, look at the little things that you could do, and they're not little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a nighttime demo at their house just in little bitty different areas because it's such a huge property.
Yeah.
And but she's like, "Oh honey, you don't have to go to all this trouble and everything." And within an hour she was out there with me, and I was saying, she's like, "I love those holly trees." And I said, "You know, gosh, holly trees are the worst thing in the world to try to light up. It's horrible." I just tell people, you know, it will not take light. So we ended up with a wash light on a 36-inch stem in the middle of a holly tree, shooting out through the leaves.
How'd it go?
And I've got, now it's going to look like there's going to be 11 of them along the driveway shooting out these hollies, throwing leaf patterns like a gobo down the driveway. And she's like, "Oh my God." And I said, "See, that's why I wanted to get you involved. Now I've got some feedback from you and something, you know, that you love." I found out, you know, she loved she just wanted some little tiny bit of illumination because the person who stuck those nasty Vista can lights on these hollies, she was used to seeing that little bit of illumination on them.
Yeah.
But we ended up finding a solution that blew me away, because like normally I just hate a holly tree. There's nothing there's no good way to light a holly. It eats the light.
Yeah. That is so cool.
Yeah, but it was, you know, like I said, she was just like, "Oh, you don't need to go to all this trouble." And you know, we moved lights around. I had her husband out there pulling cable along behind me. And you know, I think the other thing too is a lot of times, no matter what it is, people like to be involved. If you can get them and find out something that they like or enjoy and get them involved in that little bit of thing, uh, that was another big thing in the car business. You know, with get them to get in the car, get them to, you know, what do you like about this one, or what about this thing? You know, getting the people involved.
Well,
I think a lot of times for me, that really, they can feel my passion, I think.
well, and that's the point. If you can do a little research and know in advance, oh man, you can be their best friend.
Yeah, I think with LinkedIn, that's a great tool for that as well. As
Yes,
far
it
as
is.
finding out, you can type in somebody's name nowadays, and this guy's a gastroenterologist, you know.
Yeah. Doctors are unique. Doctors are very hard for me to deal with.
Yeah,
Their time is
a lot
terrible.
of times I've had the same luck, but I've got one typically the Middle Eastern clients, we've all been there, but I've got a gastroenterologist who's the most American Indian in the world. I turned him on to a landscaper, hardscaper. He now gets Woody to go do projects for him so I can add some lights.
Yeah.
He loves lights.
And you know where to find lights. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know
Yeah.
there's a company out of Florida, George, that makes these real stealth lights that clip onto pictures. They're rechargeable.
Okay.
And I found that company for him because he's got a lot of really nice artwork by his big staircase entry.
Yeah.
But he has some crappy lights going on in there that he got off Amazon. And I said, let me turn you on to this company. I think Nels turned me on to them. But I had never had a client use their products before because they're pretty expensive. And they're out of Florida, evidently. I can't remember the name of them, but so he got these nice lights. He got like 5 of these cool lights for his pictures.
Thanks to you.
He could not wait. He sent me pictures of the artwork with the lights on, and he was
Yep.
like, "Oh my God, they are so cool, and look how stealth they are." And and then I found out from him, a lot of the people from their culture are huge collectors of expensive artwork.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Now I'm gonna
Scott,
give
do
you
you
a
have any
lead.
thoughts or questions on that you might need answered through?
No, I'm just kind of listening to the stories and the input that you guys are giving. I mean, I've dealt quite a bit with a lot of wealthy people in the past. Originally, I'm from Maryland, and I was
Where from in Maryland? Where from?
But I grew up down in southern Maryland, La Plata,
Oh, I know Ruby from Cambridge.
Cambridge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
out there on the eastern shore.
Oh yeah, you're from the land of the flask and the fiddle.
Yes, sir. Yeah, buddy of mine, he's got they got a bunch of hunting property out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dorchester County.
Yep. So, but yeah, I was in the auto collision industry for 20 plus years, and I owned a shop up in Montgomery County, which, in fact, I think Dan Snyder had a place up there also.
Yeah, a little place there, yeah.
Up in Potomac, but
Yeah.
we did the work for Rockville Porsche Audi and Lexus of Rockville, so we dealt with a lot of higher end people, and it's amazing. You never know who's going to walk through that door,
No, well, you had a pretty good guess. Anybody was
Yep.
anybody up there.
And even down here in Fort Myers. I mean, I had a landscape company when I sold about a year and a half ago, and one of our clients was Cliff Williams, the bassist for AC/DC. And you want to talk about somebody that's down to earth. I mean, I'd be putzing around in his backyard, and he'd just come outside and start talking to you. Just as humble as could be. In fact, they even invited us over one evening for it was my son's 10th birthday, and I asked if I could get Cliff to sign a record, and his wife Georgianne said, "Well, why don't you just come over, bring your son one evening, and he'll sign it for him in person." So I was like, man, that would be nice. So we went over there one evening, and of course my wife wanted to go too. So we went over there, spent about an hour with them, and just the most laid back people. But
Awesome.
when they would come into town, I would always get the notice. I would communicate with her and make sure we had all the flowers and annuals and everything, just so. And just basically giving them exactly what they want and making sure when they get in town, or making sure you meet their expectations, and do exactly what you say you're going to do. But I definitely picked up a lot of good tips from, in terms of collaborating with them, and so yeah, I definitely got a lot out of this class. Thank you.
Good.
Cool.
Awesome.
If you guys want to look at something interesting, they don't really do it anymore, but one of the guys that started Wendell Lighting, I used to work with. And it's framing projectors. And it's really interesting. Look up Wendel lighting. And then you know, there's something here on Lightalier that's got framing projectors. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. The Wendell projector, Rudolph Wendell, was an amazing thing. He did outdoor and interior lighting. He had actually copper fixtures that looked the craziest things in the world. But you actually had to cut confinements. You had to cut images out and focus it on the on what you were trying to light. We did a lot of that years ago. That, you know, it's actually a dying art. But here it is, the Wendell 928 ml monopoint projector. And this would come through the ceiling. And you'd only see a little, looks like the size of an MR16. And you could exactly, one of the things I used to do was to light a black piano. We would light the outline of the piano, but you couldn't light black, but it would light anything that you put on it. And then we could light just the keys. It was an amazing look. We used to do a dining room table with a chandelier in the center, dim it, and then do two projectors on either side of the chandelier coming in from angles and exactly light the dining room table. You guys have J. Alexander's restaurants? You know that restaurant?
Yeah.
J. Alexander's has, and started out with, when they built their original restaurants, they're usually in them, that people don't know what to do with them. You have a business going in, correcting it and just adjusting them, because they have barn doors on these projectors. Yeah, that's it, exactly. That's it, Jeff.
You and me.
Well, yeah. And you know, just to be able to frame exactly a table where there's no light, where you put your hands in it, where you put your fingers in, it's all lit. Just doing that to a dining room table with a decorative chandelier, it was like taking candy from a baby. The fixtures were $4,000 a piece. And we would probably add 1,000 to it, because I'd have to fly the guys in to do the work, and they'd be cut in the ceilings, and you know, two of them for $10,000, something like that, $11,000. But it got you in to do this. The guy's name was Richard Jackson. Rick Jackson. His name was Jackson. I can't remember. He's actually stayed at the house. He was the one promoting it. These kind of things you could do for the clients, and they just go crazy for it. Right now, to do two MR16s over a dining room table with a chandelier in the center, you have the chandelier on a dimmer and do the just to dim the table in general. It's an inexpensive way to do an incredible job. And the crystal just will sparkle if you do that. Things like that, little specialty things that you can learn how to pick up and get you on to do the inside as well. And you'll start, as you're doing more things, you'll learn about this stuff, and you know, you'll say, God, I'd like to do that. That'll be fun. But look up Wendell projectors, and you'll see a whole lot of things that you can do right off the bat. And you say, oh, I can do that. Next thing you learn too is how to change the reflection, how to push instead of, you've seen lighting, like lighting a mirror, but if it's a shiny piece of artwork, if you put the light directly at the artwork and it's reflective, it'll reflect back to you as glare. There's a picture behind me that's just an overhead light doing that. Of course, that is reflective, but it's generally lighting that whole wall. I can put anything I want on that wall, and it's going to be evenly lit. It's a downlight wall washer.
Yeah, it's a nice bounce effect. A lot of photographers, if you've ever watched a lot of professional photographers, they'll bounce their flash off a wall or a ceiling to get that nice super soft light effect.
Yeah. Well, see, that's where a lot of times too, I'll take a flashlight because I'm a little dyslexic. I'm a lot dyslexic. And I'll take the flashlight and I'll go up on a ladder and aim it at the photograph, at the painting or whatever I'm doing. And then I'll watch where the reflection comes back into the room. And I want to make sure that it's not coming back to where the main view is, where they're sitting. And then I may vary the angle of it to come back. If you vary the angle, again, you're varying the beam spreads. So you got to really know what you're doing. But that will give me an idea. If I move it around, well, where's the reflection going to go? And you can force the reflection out of the main viewing area.
I've had interesting experiences inside homeowners' houses. Nels pushed me in that direction. And just little bitty things like talking to a homeowner. A lot of these new 2-story homes they'll have this nice flat entryway where the staircase comes up right and left. And they notoriously will put in a bunch of like maybe 6 or 8 tan lights. And if you can get that person to understand to get a dimmer put in there, and then you go back in and help them set that dimmer on about 20%.
Yep.
So they've got that nice, soft glow of lights going across there instead of the blinding light they once had on that hallway foyer. Oh my God. I had one guy, he goes, I'm getting dimmers on every light in the house now.
We used to carry them with us. We would carry, and when there weren't so many different styles of dimmers, because it's all kinds now. But we used to carry them with us and just say, oh, wait a minute, let me go do this. And we just put them in for them. And they go, oh my God. And incandescent, we still have clients that love their incandescent. Dimmed incandescent is still the best because it turns so yellow. And it's a very inviting color. But it's
very good.
You have to use amber and anything else.
Gentlemen, I've got to get a shower and eat dinner and go to another reveal tonight.
Yep.
Well, I hope I hope this you picked up something out of it. I hope I did some good.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, thanks, George.
Please leave us some comments on anything we can do to make it better. This is the first stab at talking about these type of clients, and I was trying to come up with something that might be interesting for you guys.
No, a lot of good thoughts in there, George. Thank you for your insights on that.
So, my pleasure.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you next time. Next Monday, we've got another the mentor group study, which will be dealing with a case study. So we'll be in touch. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.